Let's get it. Shake it like understand who I is. Not that many gon' do it like this. Bob your head, we can hear my shit, but I'm on my shit. I ain't has no chill. I'm who I are. I'm who I
Welcome back.
is.
Welcome back. Welcome back to. Just not gonna go for shit. I'm rusty. Okay. Welcome back to another episode of TDG. I'm Sean.
And I'm King.
And today we are bringing you guys a video from the channel called Am I the Jerk? This channel, what he does is he reads stories from Reddit and places like that, and you're left to decide if the person is the jerk or not. So before ado is any way furthered, we're gonna jump on into it.
All right.
My wife wants me to pay $50,000 to carry our child. Before we jump into it, don't forget to subscribe with notifications turned on by hitting that bell. I'm a 34-year-old man and my wife is 29. She has asked me to pay her almost $50,000 to have our child, and I'm not quite sure what to do. I have been dating my wife for 6 years. We have been spiritually married for 2 years. We are not legally married, although at this point we are essentially common law. We are both high earners.
Wait. I'm going to assume that there's more to this story, but just from what he's giving off at the beginning, spiritually married, but not legally, and she wants you to pay her $50K, that's 50,000 US dollars to be pregnant. And that's not to include whatever fees is going to come up with the hospital visits and just the cost of raising the kid, which I just looked at this. If you go to, I forget, stats.com or whatever, CDC, where they do stats like that.
Right.
I'm going to figure that out. It's the cost of raising a child from birth, from conception actually.
Yeah, 0 to 18.
To 18. $395,000.
It went up. I thought it was 250.
Oh no, accounting for inflation, my guy.
Well, luckily I'm cheap, so.
So tag on another $50K right there, just because this person, your spiritual wife, not wife by state, wants you to pay her $50K just to carry the child. Man, what kind of crack are you smoking, bro?
We both earn over $175,000 a year after tax. We purchased our home together and we've agreed to split the finances 50-50. We paid for our wedding, honeymoon, everything 50-50, although I did pay for the cost of our rings and her engagement ring. Our mortgage payments were 50-50 and we comfortably own our home now. So much of our income goes to savings, investments, home improvements, and discretionary spending. Because of our incomes, we felt it would be best to keep our finances separate. We're both highly independent people and both very career driven. It's part of the reason I'm so attracted to her. She's amazing at what she does and I'm so proud to be able to introduce her as my wife and explain what she does. Unfortunately, our first 2 years of marriage were hampered by the pandemic and the lockdowns. We would have loved to have traveled and saved up quite a bit in order to do this. A couple of months ago, we had a talk and decided it might be a good time to have kids instead of continuously waiting for better or safer travel conditions. Without too serious discussion about it, we decided to stop using birth control and let things happen as they will. Yesterday, I came home and my wife was on the phone. She seemed like she was in a hurry to end her conversation and tried to evade my question when I asked who she was talking to. It was her sister. They don't talk a lot, so that was a bit weird. She still works from home, so she continued to do some work. Then we had dinner and watched some news. It was a regular, pleasant evening. Then she says she wants to have a serious talk and asks me to make some tea and meet her up.
King, we need to talk.
Oh man, hey, I'm telling you right now, to anybody listening, if you ever hear the words, we need to have a talk or we need to talk,
Run! Throw yourself out the window. The closest thing to that for me is when someone leads the conversation off with saying my name first. Like, I hate when someone addresses me as my name. You're like, if you know me, but you're just like, if you're like Sean, I feel like I'm in trouble. But you could tell me anything it is, but man, I can't stand it. Or someone's like, hello, Sean. I'm like, you know who I am. Just say hello. Leave my name out of this.
Stares at her work desk. So I make the tea, I bring it up, and she starts talking financials. Her workplace allows for maternity leave for up to a year, but only provides 50% of her salary for up to 6 months. The remaining 6 months is unpaid. She was very direct. And
So 50% of her salary, she's making, let's say she makes 175. She says, well, actually, no, they say after taxes. So I'm just going to say 200,000 a year. So half of that is $100,000 a year. House is paid off. And she technically still has his income, his full income. So that's where we're at so far.
They're at a fantastic place.
Yeah, about $300,000.
I would call that really good family planning.
Right.
Okay,
Very
so
secure.
That sounds like a family that you could take a year off from work, get 50% for up to 4 months, and still be in a better place than probably 95% of most people in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Okay. Prudent. I like it.
said that while her insurance would cover the vast majority of hospital-related costs during pregnancy and childbirth, taking a 6-month break from work would cost her almost $50,000 since her pay would be cut in half.
And there's the rub. How is it going to cost you money to have your child because you can't work? See, now I feel like this is one of those women that have made their career basically their children or their life.
Yeah.
That's what they hold in the highest of esteems on a pedestal is their career, when it should be their family.
Yeah.
So the gall to turn to your spiritual husband or whatever he is to her and say that you need to pay me $50,000 to have your child or have our child is ludicrous. It's crazy. It's bonkers.
On one hand, I started out by going, this lady is insane. But on the other hand, as he kind of breaks it down, I actually follow the why.
Nani? The math works. I'll give her that. The math works.
Uh-huh. I still think it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Mm-hmm. I don't, especially if you're together. You're living together. I'm pretty sure her name's on the house. You know, let's keep moving.
She is asking me to compensate for that $50,000 in addition to agreeing to split any related but unexpected costs to pregnancy and childbirth. Her stance is that she is doing something for us to start a family, but it is not a true 50-50 split if she's expected to take a financial hit for it and I am not, given that our finances are separate. She had a printed list of expectations in terms of what she expected financially, listed some things that her insurance may not cover. I see the logic, but I am really very turned off by this because she is essentially asking me to pay her to have our child or children. She saw my hesitation and doubled down. While her ideal is to return to work after 6 months.
That's where she messed up at.
Yeah, she's cold and calculated. It's very business with her.
That's where she lost me. I was actually like okay with it, but then to like double down when he hesitated, that's what makes me go,
She basically said, F your feelings.
Now,
here's the deal, take it or not.
You know, all relationships, man, there's a little bit of a give and take, in my opinion. There's some things that you should not give on, no matter who you are or like what the relationship is. Right. In this case, and I'm curious to see what he talks about a little bit later on, I would have liked to have maybe agreed, or I think I would have presented an option where I'm not going to pay you, but let's put this towards a future expense for the kid, essentially. Right. You know, like you're taking a loss in income. I understand that. Right. Okay. I will cut my income as well, but not necessarily give it to you. Right. Put it towards our kids' future. Right. That's what I would present to her in a lot, because she seems logical, actually.
But here's the thing. They both decided more or less to have this child. It's we'll call it a 50-50 agreement. But she's saying, well, since I have to carry the child and I have to be out of work for 6 months, you should compensate me for taking care of the child. Yeah. That's not how it works. She's commodifying a child.
True. And I'm not disagreeing with that.
Right. And to sit there and say, you got to pay me for me having a child and taking care of the child. He's still working. Why should he have to be? Look, there's no you don't have a W-2 form with the husband. You know?
Hey, she sounds like she'd create one.
Probably. I don't know. But it's It wouldn't work for me.
Spiritual Wife LLC.
Oh God! Don't give me my ideas.
She says it's a real possibility that she may require more time off and decide as things happen to take up to a year off. So she had drafted another plan for that. For the first 6 months, her work will give her 50% of her salary and I would compensate her for the rest. But for the next 6 months, since her work would not compensate her and because this loss is something she is doing for the family, she is comfortable splitting the loss of her income. She is only asking me for 50% of her salary instead of 100% for the second 6 month period, and she will take the loss of 50% of her salary. The idea, I guess, is that both of us suffer half the loss of income for the second 6 month period. However, if she takes 7 to 11 months off, any months after the 6th month can be prorated. She expressed that she anticipates and hopes to work in 6 months, but that she wants a contingency plan in the event that she requires a year off. She said that taking more than a year off is something that she is very unlikely to do, as it would put her job at risk, but she's open to exploring a third plan with me if I feel that that's necessary. There are also detailed notes about how she wants to keep housework split, with plans to start saving for both childcare and additional housekeeper expenses for at least the first 4 years. I kid you not, it's a 16-page ring binder that she handed me with detailed notes, some explanations, and a list of expenses. But the immediate and essential element here is that she wants me to pay her $50,000 up to $100,000 if she takes off the full year.
And I've decided that you should eat a big bag of dicks.
If I was this guy and she handed me a 16-page ring binder of all this, we'll just call it documentation, I would hope that my house had a fireplace. Because I would have went to the fireplace and started a fire. Like, let's sit near the fire and let's go over this ring binder. Let's go through this page by page.
Uh-huh.
And once that fire is roaring,
Then what you doing, Sean?
I'm pitching that bitch right in there. Not the woman, the binder. That's crazy.
Hey, I take a different stance on you, bro.
Really? You'd go for it.
I like what she's proposing. I
No.
do. To me, I talk about the lack of family planning that occurs in a majority of people. I'm not saying all.
Right.
I don't like to deal in absolutes, but a majority of people. And the fact that she's outlined this plan for 0 to 6 months, 6 to 1 year, and then maybe even further to even include, all right, the first 4 years. I'm telling you, for those of y'all, people don't really talk about childcare. I was a dual income house with both myself and my ex-wife that worked. And man, when that childcare bill comes, you have to almost kind of factor in, is it worth it for both of us to be working, for the childcare? Now, the people in this story, both have jobs that pay. If you make over 6 figures, you're doing better than, and I've seen the stats on this, 95% of Americans in the U.S. I thought that was actually significantly high. And I'm like, man, you mean to tell me that, only 5% of people make less than that in the U.S.? So for what they're doing with the money that they're making and the family planning,
95, not 5, sorry.
Yep. Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, I graduated high school from Alabama.
Because someone's going to call you out in the comments.
Hey, and please do. If they're doing that level of planning, this lady seems like somebody who I'd like to marry. Calculated.
No.
Yes.
That's way too calculated.
And willing to be calculated with me. She's not planning this without me.
But here's the thing. She's basically coming at you with an ultimatum. Here's an ultimatum of, actually it's a multiple choice ultimatum. It wasn't, hey, I'm having, second thoughts about having this kid, or here's how I'm thinking about we should try to approach this, and let's both come to a solution. She came to him with a 16-page binder of, here are your choices.
Hey, but they were like this. I'm with it in being that I'm willing to come to the table. Now I am going to want to do some amendments, right? Let's do some negotiations here. I'm not going to flat out be like, these are only my choices and I'm going to accept what's in here regardless. No, we're going to negotiate. Now at the point, if she's not willing to negotiate with me, now we're on a different playing field. But if she's willing to negotiate, at least I'm on board.
No, because you know what? I still feel like in this relationship, she would still take the benefits that come with the relationship and still try to probably put the responsibilities of the relationship that she doesn't want onto him.
Okay.
To compensate her for the loss of her salary for 6 to 12 months as a result of her having our child. I really don't know how to process this. My first thought is shock, because despite our salaries, $50,000 to $100,000 is a lot to demand. The idea of a payment plan to have a child is just gross, and many couples manage to do this without paying their wives to have children. But then I suppose most couples are legally married, and a loss to one person's income is a loss to everyone involved. So in our situation, it makes logical sense, but there's something so transactional about it that it puts a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't fight it or argue it, and she's basically allowing me to think about it, but says if having kids is something we're gonna do, she wants to write up an agreement and go to a lawyer. Splitting the cost of that is also in the binder. What really hits me here is that she was talking to her sister on the same day she brings this up to me. Why on that day? On the same day she mentions this to me? They do not talk often. I am partially excited and scared that the timing of this means that she's actually currently pregnant, and my response to her will have real consequences if I disagree with her. She has previously had a termination and only told me after the fact, almost a year later, because it was early into dating. I was shocked to learn that when I did, but I supported her choice as it's her body, and at the time,
No, damn that.
Wait, was it his?
Yeah, it was his.
Oh,
She
okay.
terminated it.
Okay.
It was a year after she terminated it. That's when she told him.
Okay.
So that tells me at least that she's driving this vehicle.
Okay.
He's along for the ride.
Actually, I changed back everything that I said earlier.
Thank you.
This is somebody that wants control almost all the time.
Yep.
And if she doesn't get her way, I guarantee you your life will be hell because of it.
And that's what I'm picking up from him by saying that he thinks that she probably already is pregnant and she's waiting to see what he chooses. Because if he says, like, I'm not doing any of this, she's like, well, cool. Child support and alimony and whatever else.
Ah, see, it sucks that he has his house with her.
Getting trapped.
Because I would say, hey,
Run!
wow.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, man. Hey, you know what? He's this far into it. I'm hoping to have some sympathy for this dude at the end, because maybe, you know, things got revealed a little bit later on and he just didn't catch it. Maybe he was blinded by the peace leave. Who knows?
Right.
But that changed everything.
Well, we'll find out in part 2. This is still part 1, so.
having kids would have been the wrong decision for us. Still, the fact that she makes decisions like that so independently has me incredibly cautious right now. I checked the trash cans for a pregnancy test, but I didn't find anything. She also asked for tea instead of coffee, but maybe that's overthinking it because she likes both. I want to ask her if she's pregnant, but we both had busy days today, and I was processing, and it didn't even occur to me on the day we first discussed this. Definitely a conversation to have, but I don't know whether that should influence my response here. What should I do? I actually completely understand why she would have this thought process and present it in this way, but that doesn't mean the entire time I wasn't thinking about those Shark Tank parody videos. Next into the tank is a young woman who wants to have a baby for the right price. Hi babe, I'm here today asking for a small lump sum payment of $50,000 to $100,000 in exchange for a baby. And the boyfriend goes, so tell me a little bit about this. How'd you come up with this? What are your numbers? What is your valuation based on? Well, babe, you see, my job only covers 50% of my income, and that's where you come in. I'm looking for a strategic partner. Babe, $100,000, that's no small ask. There's nothing proprietary about this at all. I really love the idea, and for that reason, I'm out. But in all seriousness, I get it. There is an asymmetrical risk that she's taking on by having the baby and not advancing her career, and she wants it to be equal because everything up to this point has been equal in terms of the finances and everything because they're not legally married. There are so many people that have strong opinions on this one way or another, but I can see it from both sides. She wants a security, and he just feels like this whole thing is so unromantic and it just puts him off. Somebody actually brings up the point to ask, what's the reason you're not legally married? Because a lot of these complicated issues could be resolved if the marriage was legal. And the OP's answer was interesting. He says, we were both hesitant on the idea of marriage, but I suppose I oppose it more than she does. If I'm gonna be with someone, one, I don't want to do it out of compliancy in avoiding divorce. I think being with someone means choosing them consistently without pressures of socially imposed institutions. I also want it to be easy to walk away if anything significant changes in the future. People lie, change, cheat, etc. Who you are with today isn't who you will be with in 5 years from now. Even if you think you'll love someone forever, they don't always stay the version of themselves that you fell in love with. She's cautious in a similar way. For example, she doesn't want her last name to be changed, both for familial reasons and because she's established a name for herself in her career. She's particularly cautious of her retirement plan as well, and maintained that if she got married, she wanted a prenup to protect that specifically along with her family inheritance.
You hear all that?
Okay.
Yeah, see? She's thinking about her, like you said, she's in control. She wants to be in control, wants to stay in control because she's thinking about her financial status instead of the relationship. Mm-hmm. This is very transactional.
It is 100% transactional, and a lot of the things that she said, I agree with. You should worry about your inheritance. You should worry about protecting the things that, you know, was either you worked for or what was given to you. Because like they said, people lie, cheat, change, and all of a sudden wake up and go, I'm not happy. And the moment that anybody hears that in a relationship, it's my opinion, it's doomed. There's nothing that you can fix the moment that occurs. Right. And if she has a sustainable amount of assets, I would encourage you to work to protect those. But the reality of it is there's how you feel, and feelings get involved, and then how the other person's going to feel based on that. Like I'm a huge fan of prenups. I want us to be able to protect our own assets and investments and interest and things like that. The payments where she lost me, but everything else, I mean, she's like a dude in a sense, really logical, really, by the book. I don't think she's a Philly type person. I just think she's really sticking to logic, but she's on the extreme side of logic, in my opinion.
I mean, here's the way I see it. She's fine in wanting to have everything split up the middle. That's fine. But I think, at least if it was me in a situation, I would not bring a child into the equation. That's just going to get way too messy. It's a life. It's different from just, material things.
Yeah.
And like I said, I could see if she just started making $100,000 or $200,000, and then she's saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna be losing this money, so you should be compensating me." That I could kind of see that. I can kind of get on board with that. But she's been making this money probably for a while because they said that their house is paid off. They have X, Y, and Z. She has an inheritance. She has other financials. She has her name out there. So she's well established. She probably even has a couple $100,000 in the bank or in different banks. So the fact that she's saying she's gonna be losing money, which is true, how much are you really losing when you guys are together? So if it was me, I would leave her. I wouldn't, or maybe not leave her, but say like, look, you know what? We're not gonna have kids.
Okay.
We're not doing that.
Gotcha.
That'd be my idea.
All right.
So it just felt like marriage wasn't in the cards for us, but it was important to her to introduce me as her husband and not as her boyfriend, and to have the typical celebrations and customs associated with marriage that I was happy to give into, and it was more pleasant of an experience than I had anticipated. If she had pressured me into marriage, I might have agreed, but she didn't, and I feel like this works for us well. If they weren't having a kid, the part where he says that he wants it to be easy to walk away if anything significant changes into the future would be a lot different, but having a kid in the mix is something that for a lot of people would make it not easy to walk away. 100%. So if your significant other came to you with a proposal like this, and imagine they were the one that didn't want to get married or just couldn't happen for some reason, how would you handle it? Some people are telling them straight up just to run, leave the situation, don't look back, and other people are saying it's pretty much the same thing you would do if you were married, because if you were married, one person losing money is both people losing money. But what would you do?
All right, so that's part one.
Okay.
We're going to visit part two another night.
All right.
But what'd you think?
Man, that's an interesting scenario as somebody who was previously married, who also is the father of a kid. I went into it not transactional or anything like that, as I got married, and then me and my ex-wife had a discussion about kids before we had our kid. Now, thinking that through, like the legalities of they're not married, but then she's thinking about her loss of income. It's extremely transactional. The part about her terminating the pregnancy and not telling him until a year later. That's where she lost me completely.
Right.
Because of everything that we talked about earlier. It spoke to her being in complete control. And I know that if she doesn't get her way, you're going to pay in ways that you are going to regret later on.
Yeah, deeply financial.
Yep.
All right, but that's all we got for you guys tonight. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We need you guys' help to grow the channel, so go ahead and hit that like right now. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Thanks a lot, guys. Tune in next time. We'll see you.
Actually, you know what? I'd also like to add this too. How fine is she? Because, I mean, look, if she's supermodel gorgeous, I might consider it.
Not doing it. Not even me. I'm too cheap to do that, so no. I don't care how fine you are.
Okay, all right.
When it comes to money, no sir.
Let's get it. Shake it like understand who I is. Not that many gon' do it like this. Bob your head, we can hear my shit, but I'm on my shit. I ain't had no chill. I'm who I are, I'm who I is. Taylor Susan, I play the part. Fuck a fire, how you mesmerize. Black Austin pies, man, that I'm stupid. Then again, oh so clever. On my loony, pour that lever. Talk my shit, I'm talking hella flow, baby, you know.